Hey guys, it is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we are going to go over everything that has just transpired over the last 48 hours. Again, there is a ton here. We're going to go over what Russia is accusing us of and talk about how they are saying that we are planning a nuclear conflict. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
I love that I go back. Papa, I love that I know that I go back. Papa, I know that I love that I go back. Papa, I love that I know that I go back. Papa, I know that I love that I go back.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to go over today in a short amount of time. So if you're new here, remember you can go over to marfooglenews.com and find every single article, tweet, video, picture that we show you here today is going to be bibliographed over on our website. Now, when you go over there, you will find that you can also sign up for our email alerts. All that is required is a simple email address, and you can be signed up for a ton of different notifications for us. Again, we try to use it rarely. We are going to be using it in the future as far as notifying you on different things that are going on. Now, the world is literally heating up, so we're going to talk about that tonight. Make sure to go over and check out the website. It is all organized by thumbnail. Repeat, is this a rerun? Stuck on repeat is tonight's episode, and for good reason. It seems like history is now repeating itself. When you go to the website, once you click on that thumbnail, you'll see that it brings you to every single article, tweet, video, anything that we show you here, besides an opinion, which we try to clarify, will be over there on the website. Now, once you get to the yellow bar, that's a warning. That's essentially the web-only content, the stuff that is too far to one direction that we can't cover while staying reasonably neutral, and of course the stuff that's too hot for TV. Over there, there's a great amount of stuff, and it is an entire other show down there. So make sure to check that out. Lots of resources for you to check out. At the very end, we'll talk about the EMP giveaway and how to get yourself entered to win one. EMP shields are not they're not cheap. They are a professional way to actually protect your home, generators, and of course all of your equipment that you need to keep running after an EMP or a CME. Those you can again go over and purchase through us if you want to support us, or you can enter to win one. That again, go over and check those out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Dex, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. How are you doing tonight, and what is happening?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So just to get right into it, Russia blocks access to Facebook. Now, we're hearing a lot of blocking back and forth. A lot of countries are basically putting out their versions of their sanctions and them blocking different parts of Russia. Some find that the Russian people themselves are going to be suffering through a ton of this because of the government that is, whatever they're participating in. There is so much information going out, and I don't want to say all of it is disinfo, but again, there is so much information out that no one really knows what to believe. After the last 2.5 years, no one trusts mainstream media anymore. But remember, all of history, we have looked back through it. Mainstream and the 5 families that run them, they put out messages right in front of us. So you do want to pay attention to the patterns and to what they are leading up to. And they are definitely leading. It seems like we are leading into some massive event, and most of us can feel that. It says that Russia's media regulator said Friday it will block access to Meta-owned Facebook in the country as it escalates pressure on media outlets and tech platforms amid its invasion of Ukraine. It says the regulator claimed that Facebook violated federal law by restricting access to accounts of several state-affiliated media outlets, according to a translated version of the statement. The move marks an escalation from earlier limits Russia placed on Facebook. Last week, of course, we covered the agency placed partial restrictions on Facebook for the alleged violations. At the time, the Meta VP of Global Affairs, Nick Clegg, said that Russian authorities had ordered the platform to stop fact-checking and labeling content posted by Facebook by state-owned outlets like RT and Sputnik. Meta refused to do that request. Now, one thing... You don't have to be pro-U.S. or pro-Russia to know that if you do your research on these fact checks, people are pissed off about it. I don't know. Who knows what they'll end up doing. Maybe Russia will end up putting information about some of the specifics on that. But we know that many people have complained about Facebook, fact-checking opinions, literal opinions like, I think this, and they're like, that's not true. How are they fact-checking opinions? I don't know. How are all of these fact-checking companies somehow connected to biased people and biased groups and biased boards and, of course, connected to the shadiest people in the world? I don't know. I don't know how everybody let that fly. Probably a lot of money placed into one hand, and then that hand moved slowly into one pocket. But who knows? What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. Justin True, hey, it's been a long time since I talked to you. I don't know, probably months now. God bless you and all, and the big mahalo to Marf, Dex, and Mods. Love God, love your family, and love thy neighbors. Stay in control of your mind and emotions and stay prepared. The more you know, the less you need. God bless all. Justin True, nice to see you again. I'm hoping that Hawaii is a paradise like it always is. But again, you know what's up. Of course, I think that all of us should just keep our heads on a swivel and keep our eyes open as wide as we can have them, because right now we are heading into turmoil. Now, if you want to call in tonight is a call-in show. The number is 224-400-MARF. If you have information regarding anything that we end up talking about tonight, if you have something that you want to get off your chest, give us a call, 224-400-MARF. And again, highly recommended first-time callers again, are encouraged to call. That is 224-400-MARF, and that number is going to be scrolling on this black bar down below. Make sure to keep trying, and make sure to press option 4 to get a hold of Dex. Now, to go into next, Irish Rebel. Thank you. That is huge. I hope that was on purpose, Irish Rebel. I believe you have done something like that before. So, Irish, I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting independent. Did a $99 super chat. That's huge, Irish. I hope you can do that. Love you and thank you. Again, as I tell everybody always, if you ever need to take something back, again, you can do that without me saying anything. Simply Pony, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you as well, Charity Sullivan, for being the last one out last night. All right, and then let's see here. Russia blocks jail time for fake army news, restricts the media. So it shows that a new legislation sets out jail terms of varying lengths and fines against people who publish, quote, knowingly false information about the military if the fakes led to serious consequences. The legislation threatens imprisonment up to 15 years, the lower house of parliament said in a statement. Speaking at the session, the head of the Parliament's Information Committee, Alexander Kinstein, said that the law, quote, concerns all citizens, not only Russian ones, because we are talking about actions against Russia. Amendments were also passed to fine or jail people calling for sanctions against Russia with jail terms. Basically, you speak up, you're going to the slammer. The past year has seen an unprecedented crackdown on independent and critical voices in Russia that has intensified since the invasion. The chairman of the parliament, Vyacheslav Volodin, rallied against foreign social media after Facebook was briefly inaccessible in Russia on Friday. All of these IT companies, beginning with Instagram and ending with the others, are based in the United States of America. It is clear they are used as weapons, or that's the opinion of this quote. They carry hatred and lies. We need to oppose this, he said. And then Russia's media watchdog said Friday it had restricted access to the BBC and other independent media websites, further tightening controls over the internet. On the other end, CNN and BBC actually said that they're going to stop all journalisms in there, or pull their journalists out, or stop having that happen. One thing that should let people know, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, is if BBC and CNN and all these FNNs networks, these news networks, these fake once they pull out, you're not going to see any kind of coverage from Russia, so we won't really truly know what's going on over there, except for, say, live streams. Again, a lot of people are saying that some of the live streams, they question if they're loops or if they are altered. Just remember, that is something that they have done throughout history. Declassified files say the U.S. has done many ops where they actually looped long-term video files and made it look like something else. Very rarely do even people catch it, too. So, don't know what is happening here, but if the media is pulling out and other folks are being told to get out of Russia, that there's always a possibility that we could have some sort of exchange. With Lavrov's quotes, which I believe we have in here as well, we'll talk about that. He says that WW3 has to be nuclear. That basically, if we go to World War III, there's no chance it's going to be anything else but nuclear. Now, that's his opinion, but he is kind of a high-ranking Russian guy, and a lot of people obviously are afraid of that statement. The independent news website Meduza, German broadcaster Deutsche Welle, and the Russian language website of the U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty Svoboda, were, quote, limited, said Roskomnadzor, and I'm sorry, I totally ruined that one, following a request from prosecutors. Roskomnadzor said in each case the request was filed on February 24th, the day Russian President Vladimir launched his attack on Ukraine. So, obviously, media is having a heyday here, and we're going to see restrictions on information and all sorts of propaganda going on. Spat J, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Nice to see you here tonight. Over on D Live, I appreciate everybody that has just piled in. Kelly 2334 just did a ninja, the highest compliment you can bestow on somebody on D Live. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting independent, especially over on D Live. Really, thank you for keeping that going. Hello, gonna fly in and say hi. Gonna watch the replay. Be safe. Peace and grace to all. Kelly, I hope you do watch the replay on this one, because we're going to be talking about a whole lot. And of course, I think this is going to be a good one. Zippy Moons, thank you for all of your prayers, and for my daughter. She's home and resting. Humbled for all the prayers, over 2,000 prayers. Zippy Moons, I saw that post, and I'm sorry that your youngest is dealing with that. Zippy Moons, his youngest had some very worries, but if you want to go follow him on Twitter, you can go see for yourself what's going on. Cloud Pharrell, Foogle fam, Adam, Dex, and Mons, thank you so much. Jacktronics, Mary XX, Antoinette's, and really, thank you for gifting out badges to people in the chat. And then we have watching Ukraine. Taiwan worries about its own fate. A lot of folks in Taiwan are not exactly happy how it is going in Ukraine, because many feel that this is the exact same way that we would treat Taiwan. Essentially, they are not recognized by a chunk of the world, and if they get taken over, that is yet another, quote, democracy that would be taken by one of these major power communist kind of nations. As far as China taking Taiwan, it is a big deal in most of the world's eyes. And right now, there are actions that say that China is not afraid of the U.S. anymore. They are not acting like any other time in history where they have backed off once we kind of flex our military muscle. We flexed our military muscle, the same thing we did back in 1994, 1995, and we did not get the same response. We went there with just huge groups, carrier groups, and everything else. Went there with our Navy after they started flying in and doing these ADIZ kind of violations, flying in without identifying themselves, going right into Taiwan space. And the same thing they did back in 95 or 94 with Clinton. And that time we sent all of these carriers, all of our might, and just came in like badasses. And they said, okay, we're backing off. Well, then, since then, maybe it was like the kid that got punched in 5th grade and then goes and works out and finds revenge when he's 20 years old and finds the guy and beats him up. I hope that's not the case. But again, China has built so many Navy ships. They are now the largest Navy in the world. By over 60 ships, some estimates over 120 more ships than we do. Our ships are bigger and badder, but hopefully that doesn't change with everything that they've stolen from us as far as technology. If you look, a lot of their jets look like F-35Cs. A lot of their boats, their newer ones, the newer stealth kind of boats, they look like ours. So it looks like they got a bunch of our information somehow. Now that everything is digitized, including classified information, I could see how that would happen. But hopefully they don't have too much. It says, hearing it so often, it was a bit like crying wolf. The 32-year-old energy policy researcher said, now with a war raging in Europe and deteriorating cross-strait relations, she's begun looking into medical training and browsing war survival manuals. Says, quote, I've become more and more worried. This is something that needs to be taken seriously, she said. For days, the world has been captivated by the invasion of Ukraine, as Russian President Vladimir Putin has sought control of the former Soviet Union's republic capital, Kiev, and ordinary citizens have taken up arms to defend their country. In Taiwan, the apprehension comes with added anxiety over its own precarious geopolitical standing under the shadow of an aggressive neighbor pushing a territorial claim. Now, China and Russia are no-limits partners, and we have seen the signs. At least it looks like they have been preparing for years and years to take on the U.S. government. We have shown you every little tiny step that they have done, and remember, everything happens in tiny steps over years when you're talking about global movements, global takeovers, anything like this. They actually war game it out, and they look at the scenario, and then they slowly build everything that they need for these scenarios. That's why it takes so long. I think that we are about there. They have now beat us in Navy size, and they have also now supposedly they are going to beat us in Air Force size. Now, this isn't something the Air Force right before they were officially bigger than our Navy, I said the same thing. We had military saying that they are being told that they are building Air Force, their jets under the cover from satellite, and that they are building them so fast they've never seen it in history as far as how fast they are going. We've had that word from now 2 Navy men that are out in the South China Sea right now. So I believe I was right on that, and I will stick to that until we officially find out that I think they are going to be the biggest. And it's because they take all of that money and everything else. They don't have to worry about cutting red tape or bureaucracy. If they want to do something, they just do it. That's one thing that holds back other countries in general is the bureaucracy and the budgets. If Xi wants it done, it's just done. It's a scary factor. Same with Russia. Russia has a GDP of 1.4 trillion, less than the state of New York. And yet they spend such a humongous chunk on military. It's like, they're not fixing roads, that's for sure. And then Chinese President Xi Jinping is determined to eventually bring the democratically ruled island back into the Communist Party's fold, while Beijing has called for the peaceful reunification. Records incursions by Chinese warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone are a regular reminder that Xi hasn't ruled out the use of force. It says, quote, we feel totally related because of the Chinese Communist Party's threats to Taiwan every day, said Chen Kuan-ting, chief executive of Taiwan Next Gen Foundation, a think tank politically aligned with the governing Democratic Progressive Party. It says, quote, we need to invest more in our own national defense, and that is the only way to deter aggression. So even if they did, they would not be able to stand up against China by themselves. It just wouldn't happen. It would take them years and years and years and some sort of money some sort of miracle money-wise, because if you look at their actual militaries, there's just no chance. Their population wouldn't even be great enough to do something like that. Unless they had some magical, new technology that no one knew about and was able to vaporize everyone coming close to their island. Don't think it's a chance there. What do you think, though? Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. I would appreciate to hear your opinion. Most of you are probably talking down there in the chat. Make sure to share your mind. Just be polite. Don't put anybody down while doing it, and you'll be fine. Thank you, mods, for watching out and keeping everything cordial down there. And then Mary Catherine Rosevalny, OTT. Thank you, Marf and Dex, for your dedication. Hey, thank you, guys. It's been rough because we can't really take a break right now. All right, and then we have... So check this out. Putin versus Ukraine. New weapons target your electronics, not you. Putin's recent warning about consequences that you have never experienced could refer to EMPs that target the computer-based systems that keep us all alive today. That was a quote. On February 24th, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his military strike on Ukraine. He also made a public statement that included a dangerous warning. It says, whoever tries to interfere with us, and even more so to create threats to our country for our people, should know that the Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such consequences that you have never experienced in your history. We are ready for any development of events, and all necessary decisions in this regard have already been made. It says this warning has widely been viewed as a threat to employ nuclear weapons in response to interference with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But what kind of nukes did Putin have in mind? Tactical nukes could destroy European cities. ICBMs launched against the U.S. would kill millions, and the U.S. would retaliate in kind. These nukes are highly destructive booms that leave behind dangerous levels of radioactivity. Russia, China, and NK and the U.S. have developed nukes that are not designed to cause physical damage. Instead, these booms are designed to be detonated high in the sky, where they generate a powerful electromagnetic pulse that can disable power plants and electric devices across many hundreds of miles. The U.S. military has studied the effects of EMP for many years. It says, when I was working on a top-secret laser projects at the Air Force Weapons Lab from 1970 to 72, the lab next door was heavily involved in research on how to better understand and prevent EMP damage to Air Force aircraft. They took their work very seriously, especially when they tested the EMP vulnerability of combat aircraft. Because the world situation has become much more dangerous in recent years, especially following the disastrous departure from Afghanistan, I've become more interested in what might occur in the U.S. if they were to be struck by one or more EMP weapons. Now, it says, I was especially concerned about Sequin, Texas, the nearby city from which we purchase electricity and water. I sent open records requests to the city asking for their contingency plans should there be major or potentially long-lasting disruption in electrical power caused by an EMP of an enemy attack or solar event. The plans to provide water and sewage disposal, plans to provide law enforcement, fire protection, hospital service, and other services, plans to assure equitable availability of food to all citizens. And guess what? The city's response was a blank page. So I wrote attorney Andy Quittner. He explained that there were no such records in response to any of my requests. He also wrote that the city has a few backup generators. I replied that generators must be shielded from EMP or they may be damaged. I suspect many other cities across the country also lack contingency plans for an EMP attack in view of Putin's threats and those by other Russian officials. So the point here is that, essentially there are no public plans. As I have told you that the Solar Winds attack went in and it actually accessed Black Start. Black Start was our plan, the official federal plan of what we would do after they destroyed our grid. They totally wiped it out. They knocked out 9 different locations around the country, and they found that you could knock out just 9 locations and put us out for anywhere from 12 months to 24 months, 1 to 2 years. Or 6 months at the low end, right? So 6 months to 12 to 18 months to 24 months without power. And what they did is that plan would consist of, okay, everything is down. Where are we going to go get our supplies from? Where are we going to then go try to fix first? What are we going to turn on? What is protected? Where do we get our stuff? Well, in Solar Winds, whoever did that hack, whether it be Russia, which, if going by what's going on right now, if it was China, whoever it was, they now have access to that. So the second that an EMP hits the United States, we go into Black Start, which took years and years to design because this is a global or a nationwide plan. They would know where to destroy to keep that plan from going in place. So I'm sure after that got hacked just a few months ago that they probably started on making a different plan, but some things can't just be changed overnight. Like where you house things and house these supplies and things like that. They would have to change the entire plan, and they would have to totally rotate it. And even if they did, to come up with a fresh new way to do it would take years. Even if they did get a brand new plan, they would have a pattern of what we would do and how we would actually make that plan, so they would be better able to guess how we would end up protecting or trying to get it back up. Now, what it's saying though is this is just like when I went to Ocean Shores and I asked the local police, what are they going to do in the event of a tsunami from a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake? The police officer that had been on that force for 2.5 years, one of just a few cops, I think there's 6 cops or maybe 5, including the sheriff, and there was no contingency plan for a wave that is taller than the tallest radio tower in their town. In fact, they're going to be 55 feet underwater. And this is just an example. They had no plan. He had no knowledge of any kind of plan. So when an EMP or something like this happens, this is why we have pointed out to you for so long, there's no real people that know about it. And if there is, it's in the very top few tiers that there's anybody that's going to know what to do when the power goes out. This is why it is absolutely 100% up to you to figure out what you are going to do in the very minutes after a nuclear blast or an EMP. People need to learn this stuff on their own, and once you learn it, hopefully it will be like riding a bike. And if you never need it, then that's great. But if you do, this is something that somebody literally has to put fire to your feet to get you to do. For whatever reason, you are putting it off. And I know I'm talking to quite a few of you because a lot of you write and message and say, I just don't have time for it. You're going to have plenty of time afterwards, but guess what? You won't be able to Google what to do. And you won't be able to go to Barnes & Noble and get books on it. And you won't be able to print up pages essentially telling you what to do. You won't have guides on what to eat when there's no food. And you also won't know how to protect yourself. So these are all things that if you spent just a few minutes, I'm sure everybody spends a few minutes doing something else that they probably shouldn't do. If you turn that, even if you want to watch your favorite movie, maybe grab a phone or something and start studying up on stuff like this, once a week. Set aside 15 minutes. If Elon Musk can schedule his day out to 5 minutes, every 5-minute block, I'm sure most of us regular people that aren't insane OCD people can schedule out 15 minutes. This is why we have told people for years to do what they're doing, because the messaging that they are telling us, even if it was manufactured, they are essentially pointing out a super vulnerability. And if you're basically, even if you don't believe this is all really going on, you're still, that means you're still taking a chance. And in the back of your mind, I'm sure you think that hopefully this never happens, and hopefully it doesn't. So that is, again, something that we are heavily encouraging people look into. Dex is going to get the phone lines lined up here in just a second. Then we are going to talk about CNN stop and BBC stopping broadcast. In the meantime, I do want to remind you right now, if you want to protect yourself against this kind of event, go over to EMP Shield. They actually care about everyone in the Foogle fam. They talk personally to most of us. They are part of our truther community. They are creators as well. That's why we support them. We also think that this will save lives in the event of an EMP. So when you end up going over here, you're getting an American-made product that is, again, something that is 100% made here. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP if you do want to protect yourself. It is highly recommended, not only by us, but agencies like DHS and the EMP Resilience Report that are essentially signaling that if this happens, 6 months to 18 months down is just not an option for most people. We won't have water. We won't have many things. That's why everyone is on their own. They are doing it for their buildings, but I guarantee if there was an event like Katrina and all of the police and sheriffs all went to save their own families, what do you think is going to happen when it happens nationwide after the last 2 years of what has been going on? It's going to be a mess. No communications, no GPS, no satellite, no Google, no nothing. No Facebook, no Snapchat, no nothing. So just remember that. All right, and then Ilea says, someone in chat mentioned Zelensky's music video. I had to look at it. Oh my God, it's disturbing. Much love, Foogle fam. I have not, somebody sent that to me too. I saw the thumbnail for it. I did not watch it yet. Again, he was an actor, is an actor. I mean, you don't just stop being an actor. So I always think about that when I see the headlines like, oh, he made everybody cry at the speech. He's probably done that plenty of times. Bloop, thank you so much for your support. Rain, Landstorm, you two are the only ones we can trust. Thank you guys for all your very hard work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rain, I love that name. That's beautiful. Stephen McMahon, God bless all in this house. God have mercy on us. The psychopaths who rule us are about to unleash hell. I think most of us believe that they do want that WW3, and the other half don't believe it because they just cannot wrap their heads around, even if it was manufactured, why would they do that? How would they have that kind of loss of life and not care? If you ever met one of these elites, well, you probably won't. They would probably have their security guards shush you away. I've been in the presence of a couple princes, Arabian prince. They don't let anybody get within 50 feet of them, and you don't talk to them. They talk to you. But that's how these elites work. That's how the royal families and the oil tycoons talk. When these extremely rich people, they don't do autographs. They're the opposite. You won't see them coming because they'll clear out the building before they come. They're scary, scary people. They believe that we don't matter. They believe we are all trailer trash, that we're the scum on the bottom of their shoes, and they don't want anything to do with us. Just remember that. And WW3 we need a massive event. If you are going to collapse a current system, if you're going to get a new system in, you have to collapse the current one. All right, Dex, let's get our first caller on. I understand that we have Ultimate S&S, a first-time caller, Survival Living, and Brother, Ultimate S&S, Fires in Florida, and Prep. So we're going to talk about it in a little bit. As we were getting live today, there was breaking news about a fire, but I believe that's what we're going to be talking about here in this call.
And Adam S&S, or Ultimate S&S, is live.
Ultimate S&S, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Hey, brother, I appreciate you taking my call, man. It's actually the first time I've actually called in. So,
well,
I want to give some
on?
updates about what's happening local.
Okay, let's pull it up. So you're in Florida, right?
Yes, sir. I'm in Bay County, Florida.
Okay, and I'm pulling up. I have a link here. I believe it's for the channel. So hold on. So when did this all start? Do you know?
The fire, from the reports that I had, actually started yesterday evening. Somebody was burning some trash in their backyard, and it got out of control, and it has been spreading. And we are currently, the last update I've seen was over 1,000 acres is actually burning now. And it's about 10 miles away from my house. Earlier today, the wind had shifted. We had hot ash actually blowing into the yard, so we got the sprinklers fired up. Started spraying the house, the porch, RVs, vehicles, and things like that to hopefully mitigate any kind of, we're very dry here. We haven't had a lot of rain. So we're just trying to keep everything wet in the neighborhood where we're at. Even tonight, we're watching the wind, the neighbors and all. We've discussed what we're going to do to hopefully keep our neighborhood safe, which is keeping the water hoses running with the sprinklers and just keep soaking the tops of the houses. And if this wind shifts around, hopefully it's not going to catch in our area.
Now, it looks like you are pretty close. I'm looking at the 2 latest videos on your channel, and it looks like over your tree line you're seeing smoke. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we have to the southeast of us is where the initial fire had begun. And that other video, the top one, I guess the newest one, you'll see 2 locations where it's actually kind of a northeast direction from us now, where it has actually jumped. And that fire there is probably about 7 miles from my location. As of right now, the wind has shifted. It's pushing it away from my neighborhood. But I think it's important if you deal with a situation like this. I love the channel content you have going on tonight. And you need to understand, like you're saying, our municipalities don't always have plans for these types of scenarios, whether it be EMP or even wildfires. So it's good to prep. It's good to have a plan on how to keep something from happening. But we've already decided if this fire gets on our side of Highway 231, RVs and campers and things like that are hooked up, and we're going to be heading the opposite direction of the fires and getting out of the area, because that would place the fire within 3 to 4 miles of us. So it's up to us as individuals to not just rely on law enforcement, fire departments, and things like that. We have to be proactive, and we have to have plans and backup plans and set these routes and things into motion. You know, that's one of the things I love about your channel so far. I've only caught about 4 episodes. I am fairly new to the community, but you guys, you take things from a common sense standpoint, and you give advice, and it's doable advice. It's nothing that's going to make you go out of your way to have to learn a lot of new techniques. It's just take a moment and think about what kind of scenarios could happen and come up with a plan.
Now that's another thing here. It's like with the current last 2 years and a lot of agencies getting rid of people that say didn't go the way that they wanted to, or to get up to date, medical attention, if you know what I mean. There are a lot less police out there. There are a lot less firemen. There are a lot less EMTs. So one thing to think about is here in the United States, in Australia, in Europe, or wherever you are right now, no matter what you think of the motivations of this or who the evil group is behind it, right now it looks like they are setting up for something absolutely more massive than we've ever seen before. And most people think that these police and fire are going to come in and save you. If it gets to a certain point of bad, if it really hits the fan, they're going to go save their own families. There might be a very select few, and that will be amazing, but they won't even be able to communicate with each other. So you'll have these little tiny groups of just regular people going out and helping people. They might grab their gear from their fire station and use what they can, but it's like at a certain point. So think about this: the firefighters to fight the fire that you're talking about. Say if it got into a city, they would use the fire hydrants. What happens if the power goes out and there's no water flowing to those fire hydrants? Think about that.
Oh, it's going to be bad. The location, for those who aren't familiar with this area, where this fire is at, back when we had Hurricane Michael, these areas have been neglected. They've not been cleared out. It's a tinderbox, and it has been very dry here, and it is going up. I mean, it's spreading very fast. If the wind shifts back in our direction, I have no doubt that we would have to be leaving very soon, because it's close, and like you're saying, our public servants and things like that, they have families of their own as well. And they're going to look at their family just like we would look out for our own. I mean, in a scenario where there's no longer any money coming into them, do you think they're going to do those jobs for free? How many people in our country would actually work for free? I don't know of any.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And who foots the bill? Well, again, thank you, SNS. Ultimate SNS. Thank you so much for calling in. You are at 650 subscribers now. I hope that everybody does a love mob and heads over and supports Ultimate SNS. It looks like they are in the beginning, and that is actually, most people say that they loved my channel the most when I was tiny, and I totally understand that. People love to find the newer channels, and there's something about the newer channels that you just can't get with somebody who's been doing it for years. It's a learning process as you go along. I really, I hope you the best, and you need to get to that, at least to that 1,000 mark, so you can go live from your phone. That's really important for anybody.
Oh, yes, sir.
That, so Ultimate SNS, thank you for calling. I appreciate you, and truly do hope you success, and I hope everybody goes over. I hope my people go over.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. And again, y'all just keep doing like you're doing. You're giving a lot of information, and you're helping a lot of people, to be able to get in a mental preparedness, because we don't really know what's coming next. We see what's lining up, but we don't know the true intentions on either side at this moment. We have to understand, like you're saying, there's actors in these positions, and we have to try and prepare the best way that we can.
No, I completely agree with you. Well, you just hit over 700, so we'll see. We'll check in on you at the end of the show and see if you made 1,000. I have a feeling by the end of tomorrow you will be. So thank you, Foogle fam, and everybody that participates in the Love Mobs. It sounds like you're a good dude, and I'm super happy to meet you. Thank you for sticking around, okay?
Yes, sir. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
All right. Have a good night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Repeat, is this a rerun? Jeez Louise. CNN to stop broadcasting in Russia. Dex, do you have an update on the fire, it looks like?
No, I was just gonna comment on the caller. He not only does he look like CFP, he sounds like him too. So but I know
funny.
It's his brother, but I just thought that was funny when he called in.
Oh, I thought you were being figurative with your description on the
No,
caller.
I was being real. That's why I wrote that down.
Oh my
Survival
gosh.
Living's brother.
I thought you were being sarcastic or something. Oh my gosh. So
That's really his brother.
Oh, that's even cooler. Guys, everybody go over, on top of like a regular Love Mob. This is Central Florida Prepper's brother, Survival Living. You guys, they are good people. That means him. Now I've met two of them now. So he comes from good stock. You can tell. Make sure to go over to his channel. Let me pull it up again. Ultimate SNS. So this is Survival Living's brother. Survival Living is now hit like 30,000, 25,000 at least. So again, now his brother is starting off his journey. Let's help him.
You can see the resemblance in his face too.
Well,
I think Ultimate says he's the better looking one.
I thought you meant by like that he sounds like Survival Living. That's so funny. He does sound like Survival Living, but I thought it was just his, he had a similar voice or something, and he did survival stuff. He's already at 844. It looks like he will hit that 1,000. I almost guarantee it. The Foogle fam that watched the replay are really hardcore. Thank you, everybody. For you that are watching the replay tomorrow morning, I really just want to say thank you, and we've always appreciated everybody that watches the show the next day, because the show finishes with 10,000 people have seen it, but by that next day, it's all you folks that watch in the morning and drink your coffee. It normally always hits anywhere from 40 to 60 to 70,000, so it's really, really appreciated, and I know that's because of you. It's the people that we don't get to shout out and the people that aren't in the live show, so thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you, watching every show and participating and commenting afterwards. So thank you. God bless you. I really appreciate it, each and every one of you. Survival Living, thank you so much for popping in. Your brother, that's cool. I did not know that. I didn't even know you had brothers. I guess I didn't think about that. Always watching. Amazon seems to be down, so that's actually what I was checking. It seems though, the website is up, but I don't know if they're down as far as like when you try to buy something. I just have the general website up, and it looks like the website is up, but I don't know about purchasing something because I'm not hooked up to that. But maybe if somebody is shopping through Amazon, maybe tell us if it's down or not. They get hacked. They've had some weird things happen to them lately as well. Always watching again. I don't know. And then Woman of Wonder. I'm sorry I missed you. One of our Woman of Wonderful mods down there. Hey Marv, happy Friday. Much love. That's totally your style is Friday. Jimmy Jimenez. Jimmy Jimenez. I think I said that right. Thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Call me Derek. Thanks. I will call you Derek. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Mary Catherine Roundsevall, Aaron Vaughn, and Spat J. Welcome to the Foogle fam. All right, and then as far as them stopping this, Dex, what do you think about them now pulling kind of the other side of cameras out of here? You have European, the BBC pulling out. You have CNN. What do you think about that as far as pulling out the cameras and pulling out the journalists out of there? Is this going to make it more biased or worse coverage, or is this a sign because they're getting out of there before something happens? It's kind of an odd thing there. Looks like he's popping in. It says CNN will stop broadcasting in Russia amid the invasion in Ukraine, according to a tweet from CNN senior media reporter Oliver Darcy. Darcy retweeted that a CNN spokesperson has said that the cable network will stop broadcasting in Russia while we continue to evaluate. So one thing I heard that the journalists are leaving, and they're also saying that but like in Russia, you won't be able to get the U.S. news. And we are also hearing from Russia that they are stopping or they're blocking things. So is this like two different angles? Like CNN are saying like, oh, out of principle, we're leaving. But in actuality, they're actually being blocked. And that's why they're not broadcasting there. Does anybody know, as far as is somebody over there or, watching us via VPN from there? Do you know? I mean, is this getting blocked by the Russian government, or are they truly just leaving, or are they evacuating and they getting their journalists out? And this is kind of a part of that. I'll go over to the chat and see what they think, because again, we have to figure out what is going on here. Let's see. Able Ready, Ghost of Kiev fighter pilot was a lie. Able Ready, I kind of agree with you on that. I think it was more for morale. Same with the 82 gentlemen or the people on the island that supposedly, went out in a, FU to the Russian Navy when they actually surrendered and were treated okay, I guess, and took into prisoners of conflict. Russia said that they were going to jail anybody talking or lying about what's going on. Maybe that's why. Oh, Cheney David, that's a good point. And then J-Stone 78 says he's married to Mrs. Marf. Somebody's wondering, I guess. 1.2 thousand. Good job. I think. Hopefully we got more than that. Let's get the likes up there. If you guys don't understand how that works, it helps the algorithm figure out what people actually like to see. So, I think it's crazy that so many people watch every night, but they don't press the like button. It's such an easy and free thing to do. I guess people hold their likes. They're like, well, it's my like. I don't just give it out to anybody. I'm not going to kiss on the first date. I'm not giving you my like without watching you 154 hours. Smash that like button. Simply Pony, thank you. Barefoot Lass, Kathleen McCarthy, what's going on? Sean, KGB might as well be running the TV in Russia. I would hold back reservations, man. There's just so much. We don't know who the good guy or the bad guy is. This whole world is just full of evil. I think that it's really down to an individual basis. Like we're trying to figure out who is good and who's not, who is deceived and who is truly like trying to deceive. That's why I said, so we have really good sources here. We've traditionally had really higher ranking military members that have been able to tell us like, yeah, we're heading over here, or we're about to go there, or we're about to ship some folks over here. We've had really good information to the point where these guys are watching from base. They're bored and they want something other than mainstream to watch. So they watch shows like us. Just so you realize, like daytime shows on CNN do worse than online shows like myself and some of my colleagues like Jacob Israel. Jacob Israel has better daytime views than some of the CNN news, right? So when you think about that, think about the random people that watch all over the world. Well, we've had some great sources. One thing that I have worried about, though, is so traditionally those people are told something, then they end up telling us. It's like, what if they're being told this information? They truly believe it because they want these guys to believe it, because then they're fighting for a cause. Then they are going to tell everybody that, and then that's the message that goes out. They realize that not everybody's going to keep a secret. So if they want something spread, they will tell it to somebody. So I worry about when we get really good intel and we know when, say, they are in this string of communications with us, they've told us this, and then 3 days later, oh, it happened. It happened just like they said. Okay, first time, maybe luck. Second time, it's happened. This intel source that has been emailing us gave us really good intel. But then the third time they say something that's like, oh, okay, this is overboard. And then if it's going to happen, or if it does happen, then it starts to wonder if we are meant, if somebody's giving us that information because they know we are an alternative news source, and we put it out, and then we are hurting instead of helping. That's why I say use your discernment. If we're covering something and it's being put out, that's why we usually wait a little bit before we put out immediate stories, because we want to make sure that we're not, if we make snap judgments. I mean, Dex, how many times have all of us covered something where it's like, in a 2-hour period, all of a sudden you find out it's something totally different. For a good example, the Hanford power plant, people were told to run, hide, or fight. You're thinking this is an active shooting thing. It ended up, my buddy who works there, I have the text. He says it ends up being a nail gun. A nail gun. Like, pop, pop, pop. So one of those 22 caliber, it actually has a real shell, but it just goes pop and it puts a nail in. That's what that whole bubba was about. Dex?
Well, but not only that, but they're the ones that put the message out that included the word, or fight, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like that was a source, or it was some, journalist, taking, liberties with what he was writing. That was literally in the text message they sent to their employees.
I guess that's in their handbook, right? I've seen with my old jobs, every job I had, they had some sort of plan for that. And in the training, every job has that you sit and watch 3 weeks of videos. They have like what to do. And they all include like, just don't hide, run, whatever. I've never seen one that says run, hide, or fight. Put your, I guess that's what they do nowadays, because it may save your life. But who knows? That was before a lot of these things happened. For a while there, another question I have is why for like 3 or 4 years there was a bang bang crime every single day. It was like every week we had a massive event. All of the news covered it. That's how you know. It's like these things are still happening. Schools are being hit, all of this, but they don't care because it doesn't work for them. It doesn't push what they need to push. You realize that, right? There's been school events, but they're not covering it 24/7. That's old. Do you remember all of a sudden people started covering when the cars were driving into people? All of a sudden that was a thing, and we saw it all over the world. We covered it. It was like, oh, here, these people went up on the curb and hit and it was everywhere. And then, of course, back when it was the boom booms from the T people, it's like there's stages that they go through right now. Right now, we're in WW3 talk, but I think this time they actually want to have it happen. This is the most coordinated event we've seen in it since the response to CV. We have NATO. There's neutral countries historically forever have been neutral. They are about to join military alliances. Japan is about to crush their constitution that says that they will not fight, unless it's defensively. They're about to crush that and go fight. This is what it looks like. This is what WW2 looked like. Greg Davis, it seems to me that Russia is dragging their feet for a distraction. China is pushing towards Taiwan, and it is only a matter of time before they move. Greg, I don't know if it's a distraction or they're just waiting to really go in and take it, because I agree with you. China is going to take Taiwan, and we heard that in even President B's State of the Union. He said, and he's pumping everybody up. We're going to build everything here again. Where did that come from? All of a sudden, he wants to build everything here? And I just thought about building back better. Think about that. Is that going to be a slogan after we get completely decimated? Like, people will literally be building our country back up because it's going to be destroyed. As far as him saying, we're going to build things in America again. Or maybe China's just going to stop making it for us. And he goes, we're making one of the biggest microconductor chip companies out there. Here's Intel. This guy's going to stand up and we're all going to clappity clap. They're going to make the chips here because Taiwan's about to be China's. He didn't want to say it, but that's what we heard.
He didn't mention that Taiwan Semiconductor is also building a plant here.
Yeah. He left out a few things that were kind of important, but he did make sure to mention the burning pits. Sorry. And by the way, Putin actually did a weird thing today. He stood up randomly during the speech before he was done. I actually personally compared it to that Pelosi moment. He was in mid-sentence and then he just stood up and went, oh, wait, I'm still speaking. If you don't believe me, go check it out. I don't know if he was taking a jab at Pelosi, but it was pretty funny. U.S. Embassy calls Russian attack on Ukrainian power plant a war crime. We talked about this on Marfoogle News earlier, so make sure to go watch that video. We won't go too deep into this because essentially them calling it a war crime is a big deal because this potentially could... If everybody went with that and called it one, then that could be grounds to start a conflict. But do I think it will? No, I don't think this will. I don't think they need really a judge and jury process to get WW3 started. And I don't think it would be an event like this where the fire's already out or supposedly out or even supposedly started, right? But I do think it is very concerning. People heard one person say that it was completely harmless. I don't think that either. I've heard other experts say, yeah, it could have been very bad. It wasn't 10 times Chernobyl, but it could have been, mind you, very, very bad if other parts. And then somebody said it was just an office building. There was actual shots, according to the information and to what other countries are saying, like India and Australia and others, and who knows, they could all be under the same, rule. They said that something hit one of the actual kind of towers with the bad stuff in it too. There was multiple places hit with different things. Do I believe it? I don't believe anything right now, and I don't think anybody else should either. I think we should all go with our guts, and really that means just preparing ourselves because we can't control what's going on out there. We can know as much as we possibly can and see if there's any patterns. Right now, they're preparing us for a cyber event like power grid down. They're also possibly preparing us for a nuclear event or some sort of supposed nuclear event. Think about this. Think about if they tell you need to stay in your home because if you go outside, you could get radiation. How many of you have Geiger detectors? Probably not many. Just saying. It's also something that is kind of invisible. West is considering nuclear conflict. This is according to the Russian side. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov amid Ukraine invasion. Now, this scares people more because it is coming from them, and some folks are saying that, this side is lying and they're actually telling the truth. Well, if you believe they're telling the truth, then you think that the U.S. is planning a Fantastic Freddy of massive kind. We are actually the only country that has technically used this on another country, Japan, twice. So that's not exactly a great thing to hear about. Just a couple quotes out of this. Lavrov says it is clear that a World War III can only be nuclear. And it says that the West is considering nuclear conflict. It says, I would like to point out that it is in the heads of Western politicians that the idea of nuclear conflict is spinning constantly, and not in the heads of Russians. Therefore, I assure you that we will not allow any provocations to throw us off balance. Russian President Vladimir Putin had ordered country's nuclear forces to be on high alert, accusing the West of taking unfriendly steps towards and against Russia and Moscow has the world's largest arsenal of nuclear weapons and a huge cache of ballistic missiles, which form the backbone of the country's deterrence forces. So, a lot going on there. A little side note that this is a totally separate thing on the regular website, but it says that the Google halts all ad sales in Russia amid Ukraine. Basically, here almost everybody is doing some form of like, we don't support. We're sending money to Ukraine. When nobody that's talking about this scenario knows about either country. Most people do not know about Russia or Ukraine. They don't know any of the politics of the last 20 years. They don't know any of it. I'm not an expert on it either, so I'm not going to comment on what is going on there. I do believe that we are being deceived big time on a lot of things. So that's why I say, what steps can we take because we're not supercomputers that have all of the info. We don't have the secret info. We only have stuff that is coming down from people up there with clearance, and those people this goes so high up that those people could be confused and being led astray right now. So I guess our job is to make sure to tell you that you need to go with your gut, and you need to protect your own. You need to protect your family. You need to worry about yourself and your family right now more than ever. And then minutes to hours after a nuclear blast are critical for survival. Disaster experts explain how to protect yourself in a worst-case scenario. Dex, it looks like you have everybody lined up. Do you want to pop in on this? And again, this is something you just recently did. I have done over the last year. This is something that most preppers, we don't consider this some sort of crazy thing. It's just a normal part of prepping is to prepare for a nuclear disaster. You just recently went through some more steps on your nuclear preparement.
Yeah, so in our particular case, we were just making sure we identified our best location for sitting out potential fallout, right? And what we were going to have prepared in that area, and how we would, how much time we had, what do we need to do, what were all the things we needed to grab, and run through that scenario, as well as give directions to our kids on what they need to do. But this is one of the biggest questions we get asked. I've had a lot of people say, hey, can you tell us what we should be prepared for, what else we can do, and without going into a long preparedness session about all the different facets, just understanding what the state of things are when this type of event happens, or if this type of event actually ever happens, and let's pray it never does. But there's certain things you gotta know, like what's the first 30 minutes, what's going to happen, right? And how long do you need to shelter? And if you're not in the zone, then you actually have the ability to survive, but you have to do certain things to do that, right? And if you're in the zone, if you're in the area of the actual heat blast, it doesn't matter. Like there's not much you can really do unless you're underground in a nuclear proof shelter. But yeah, that I just thought it was a good thing to share, because we've been getting this question a lot. A lot of people have asked, hey, what do we need to do? What can we do? Can you guys talk more about what we should do to be prepared? So it was timely that this came up.
And I wanted to show you, so Washington and Oregon and the West Coast has been preparing for worst case scenario. We have heard several things, and most of you that are locals here with me, you probably didn't know, but on the radio, they've been doing very specific tests. They have also been working with our University of Washington, the professors there on different plans and on making it better. You can see, this is one of the headlines here. Let's see, Washington, Oregon officials prep up for the worst case radiological event scenario from Russia and Ukraine conflict. They go and talk about all of this. It says officials in Oregon and Washington are at a heightened level of readiness. Their task would be to detect it, understand what it is, and where it will come from. I'll send a few of these to Dex right now so you can add them to the website. But if you are local, understand that locally we have been told that we are on a higher alert. Obviously, everybody is on higher alert, but right now they're physically practicing and they're doing drills in the Northwest, right here where I'm at, about this. And that really, it's like I moved twice because I was in the inundation zone. The second time, I realized I was on this soft ground that's going to liquefy. And now the third, it's like I probably won't be hit by the main tsunami in Washington, but I very well might be in the other zone. If they hit Seattle, am I far enough away? Probably not. So, not a fun subject to talk about. Most people get almost offended if you talk about nuclear, or they're old enough to remember how this was. Like my aunt said, she said when we were kids, they told us to get under our desks all the time. They drilled us to the point where we're just desensitized to it. And I would say that if you are the matriarch, patriarch, or your grandma and grandpa now at this point, and you did have that when you were a kid, I would at least have you consider that to take this time seriously, because it has been so long since we've had a massive conflict. It is a matter of time before these things happen, and it's not like an asteroid that it's a 1 in a billion. This is something where we're dealing with human beings, and very egotistical and money-hungry human beings that do not care anything about our lives. They do not care about us whatsoever. You have to realize these elites think we are gum on the bottom of their shoe, and we need to be destroyed or put in the garbage. Again, you won't meet these people because they will keep you feet away from them. They don't want to smell you. They don't want to touch you. They don't want to see you. They don't want you to take their money. They will have somebody else go into the store because they think the stores that we all regular people shop in are disgusting. That's how they look at us. So, I mean, we're even talking about, these aren't even celebrities that you'll see at Costco or Walmart or walk around LA. They wouldn't walk around on the streets of LA ever. They wouldn't walk around the streets of Seattle, especially now since it's been taken over by people that just say, hey, let's have poop and feces on the street for fun. Yay. No, they won't even go on the streets. They get chauffeured around in limos and in expensive cars. They have people go into the store for them that touch American cash or Swiss cash or whatever country they're in. So just remember that. They don't care about you at all. The people in this chat care about you more than these elites. Alamite, there's only one way to heaven. Repent and be baptized in Jesus' name. Acts 2:37-38, upci.org. And then Peter Fries. Thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Annette F. And Dorothy Tucker. SNS over 1.2 thousand. Keep going and shoot for 2,000. Hey, that is freaking sweet. All right, let's check it. It was 844 last time. Ultimate SNS. This is Central Florida Prepper's brother. Let's see where we got him. This is the power of the Foogle fam. Okay, if we can get smaller, please. 1.6 thousand. That is awesome. That is very cool. So, hey, congrats, Ultimate SNS. That means a lot. You can, if you can get your hours in, the 4,000 watch hours, and now you have the subscribers, you can get on the monetization program, which means Google will push you further. And then also that means you will be able to go live from your phone. Tina J, probably because Putin said that they will go to jail. That's right. Yeah, same thing as far as like, why are the reporters leaving Russia? Well, because if they say the wrong thing, they might go to Russian jail. That's no fun. Roy Taliaferro, thank you so much for supporting. And then Cody Dennis, thank you for subscribing, and welcome to the Fugel fam. And Z-Zag, welcome as well. Thank you so much for supporting Independent. All right, Dex, let's go on. Okay, so first of all, we'll go on to our next caller, and then I do want to touch on a couple things that we need to give you guys as resources, because you need to know really what to do. And actually, survival living might play into this as well. I think we should actually we should have a show on this and have some experts come on and tell us kind of what people need to do as far as physical tips and tricks of what to do. So, okay, we have our next caller. It looks like we have Tom, concerned about the world and why people are cruel, from Michigan. And then we have a former military man after that. And then, Tom, it looks like Tom's trying to get in right now. Real quick, I would like to mention, I'm actually going to, Tom, once you can get in, you can. I will pull you in just a second. If you guys haven't seen these are energy generators. There is actually a wait list right now, and this is one of the most important things. If you do want to get a solar generator, one of the most sought after ones out there, I'd highly recommend you act quicker than slower, because it is going to take some time to get it. Because certain parts in these generators, there is absolutely no way to get them without waiting. The demand for solar generators and generators in general are so high right now, that should tell you something in itself. But one great part about energy, this is one of the most modular and most portable systems out there that can also serve as a purpose as a whole home generator that can, obviously you can stack up to 96 batteries. You can do, of course, a whole wall. In fact, you do I don't know how high you do each one, but you can go side by side and actually have a wall of batteries, 96 batteries, if you want to go that far. But just the base unit with one battery is running all of this show. I have 2 power bars, and I have my router. I have all my music equipment, all of my computer stuff, all of my lights. Everything is on one Flex 1500. So that, again, it is very good for my purposes. If we lose power, even just from a storm, I can keep the show going and never miss one because of power, which we missed about 5 or 6 shows last year because we are in an area where the power goes out all the time. But this is very important because it is silent. You cannot hear it. You can hear my fan from my built-in heating system over the solar generator. No one will know you have it, and no one will be coming and knocking on your door or breaking down your door looking for it. Also, you can get mods to this. They make actual mods that just plug right in. These things are stackable. You can even put it in between the battery and, of course, the mod. It's all super cool how you can do it. That can make it charge twice as fast, 4 times as fast, as all sorts of mods that you can do. So again, go over to marfuglenews.com/energy. That's one of the most powerful parts about this, is how fast it can charge and how fast you can be able to charge this thing. Not only that, you can also get an EMP Shield that goes along with it. So they do make a version of EMP Shield that goes directly for this. It goes on the in and the out. So make sure to go check out marfuglenews.com/energy. That's, again, marfuglenews.com/energy. Especially if you need power to live, like anybody with a CPAP machine or oxygen machine, these are good ideas for anybody like that, especially as a gift or if you're getting it for somebody else. That helps us out, and again, it ends up helping your favorite channel, and it gets you there on the list. So again, check it out. Dex, let's get in Tom, first-time caller.
Hey,
out of
Adam,
Michigan.
we're having difficulties with Tom. I'm going to try and get him back on again. Let's move to the next one. Hoosier Hillbilly.
Okay, we've got former military Hoosier Hillbilly What's going on? Who's your hillbilly? You are now, looks like you're coming in right now.
I'm trying to get him on.
No worries. Don't tell me Hoosiers having problems too.
Looks like it. You may just want to keep moving for a minute, and then I'll give you an update when I've got the phones fixed.
Will you flash the light when you're good?
Yes.
Okay. Zelensky accuses NATO of allowing boomings in Ukraine. In a bitter and emotional speech, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky criticized NATO for refusing to do a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Now, if you saw the speech where they said that they wouldn't do that, one of the NATO representatives essentially talked about it and said, hey, we can't do that. If we do a no-fly zone, that means we have to go in with our jets, any of the jets, and that means we are directly in a conflict with Russia. It's not a proxy. It's nothing. It's a full-blown, we are in conflict with them. Because one turns into 2, 3, and 4, 5,000, 5 million, 10 million, 8 billion people, whatever it may be. But Vladimir Zelensky, which, again, so weird right now. All over TikTok, people are saying that they have a crush on this man. They're making this a total just circus. I tell you what. But he is saying that, nobody is coming to help them. Nobody's is doing whatever. And then the next minute, he's saying, thank you, this is all we can do. I'm very confused. Because sometimes he'll say that, he can't. They can't have, nobody is helping them, but then at the same time, he's excusing the U.S. for not doing stuff and saying it's the perfect amount of help. I don't know if you've seen this, but he does two different sides. To the world and to the people and to social media, we're seeing all these videos of him saying, nobody is helping us and we're here fighting ourselves, and showing him in full fatigues, and he's always wearing, it's purposeful that he's not wearing suits. I just want you to know that too. There is somebody that tells them what color to wear. We even had the person that helped politicians wear whatever they wear. Like, oh, you want to wear a red tie, or you don't want to wear a red tie. This is a union. You want to wear shorts and a t-shirt. We had one of them call in, a woman who actually did that for a living. And it is very purposeful that he is wearing normal shirts, like a long sleeve, all of that. It's very purposeful. So when you see these things, just remember your emotional response is most likely being tugged at. All right, we've got who's your hillbilly?
Tom.
Oh, we got
Tom now.
Okay, we did get Tom back. All right, Tom, you're live.
We'll get Hoosier in a minute.
Tom, you're live on Marfoogle News.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What's going on, Tom?
I gotta quit watching the television and talk to you without the delay. I'm doing okay. Just a little concerned about everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah, we all are. It's not fun.
We all are. We have no idea where this is going, and I don't understand how people can be so cruel to one another. I don't get it. I really don't. For the life of me, how can we do what we're doing to humanity?
People are really horrible, just in general. It's very few and far between that there's not somebody who is damaged. None of us are perfect. But it goes the other way. I think that there's quite a bit of evil, actual evil. People that want to hurt others for no reason other than to make themselves feel better. I mean, there's a lot of that.
I agree. I totally agree. It's hard to understand, and I think people have a hard time understanding that. People are that evil. And I'm not blaming just what's going on over there. We've had a lot to do with it too. I mean, there's a lot of conflicts that we've been involved in that we're just as guilty. And we're implicated in a lot of things. I don't think people realize how much we're actually implicated in, hurting other folks, the normal folks, why we do what we do.
Well, you know that if people go against and say, oh, the U.S. is bad, so almost everybody here knows and has done at least a basic amount of research, and most people just specifically here think that agencies in the U.S. had something to do with a certain event in 2001. Most people know that we went in for oil and didn't produce weapons of mass destruction in different countries. Most people know that they didn't care about certain soldiers, and most people here know that our vets are not treated great. So it's like there's all these things that it's like it's our fault, or something had to do with it, but at the same time people are afraid of not of being anti-patriot or not being patriotic enough. But at the same time, it's not America that's doing these things. It's a smaller group of people inside or in an agency that are doing these things. So you can't blame it on the U.S. or this. You have to blame it on whatever secret group is doing these crappy things. So we have done some really horrible things.
I totally agree. It is a small group of people, and they controlled. I don't want to talk over you.
I'm not talking.
Are you there?
Probably a delay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's the delay. I'm sorry. I need to just turn the TV off so I'm not watching you.
Yeah,
that's
no,
an issue.
It's 20 seconds difference. So you have to talk on the phone and not the TV.
All right, I'm watching the TV and I'm watching you talk, and this don't work that way. But yeah, I totally agree. This is way beyond the normal folks, people in this country, and the people over in Ukraine and Russia, and all these people. We're controlled by something way above us. And the sad thing is we can't all get on the same page because we're a D or an R, and we have to look at the big picture of what's going on. And that's why I appreciate you and Dex. I mean, at least you're giving me an opportunity to talk to you and express my opinion. And I hope people resonate with what I'm saying. We need to stick together. We need to stand up against the tyranny, the bull, because there's so much bull crap in this world. And we have to be informed. We do. We just have to be informed, and we're not. So many people are against, they're in the red team or the blue team, and it just, seriously, they're all the same team, and we're not in it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. We are not in it. We don't have 19 zeros in front of our bank account, so we will never be in it. It doesn't matter if we are very successful and end up having 7, 8, 9 zeros in our bank account. We are not in it. In fact, they want
no, we're not.
They want everybody to be gone unless we are serving them at their feet. But some of us aren't even good enough to serve them. They even want their servants and their people to be PhD educated. So yeah, if you're PhD and you're a doctor, you're just getting up to the level where you could give them a foot massage. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show.
Years, a lot of those folks weren't even considered in their agenda. And it is an agenda. It's an agenda against humanity. And until people rise up, we come together as a people and we say enough of this bull crap and we do something about it, nothing's going to change. It's not going to change. You know, all of our families, our friends, we're all at risk of losing everything. I mean, not just financially, but physically, your lives. You know, what they're doing is it could turn into a major, major conflict. And I'm afraid that's exactly what's going to happen until people say enough of this crap. You know, they need to do some research and find out why this didn't happen overnight. It wasn't just Russia and Ukraine. We were involved in this, so we're complicit in all of it. And people don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know the
it's sad.
Hundreds of trips and different things. All of our previous presidents, the government that is currently in, the president Zelensky, he was an actor who literally played an average Joe that got plucked from being an average Joe into being the president on a popular TV show. Some whoever saw him and said, "Hey, that guy's likable. He plays a president well. I mean,
he is likable.
Why not? Let's just do it."
Definitely likable. I agree. You know, but the people don't understand that it is the R's and the D's. It's not one. It's both.
Yep.
They're both implicated in all of it. In all of it.
Well,
everything they do, they represent us, and that's the sad part.
Yep.
Because this is not us. This is not the people of our country. It is not.
No,
you know that.
It's the 8% that are brainwashed and that go along with it. The rest of us are saying, "What the hell is this?" But the 8% control the 92% of people here, and the top 1%, control the 8%. So no, I hear you.
Yeah, right.
Think about what they did.
It's a step above and below, and we're way below that.
Think
because
about,
it's all. The sad thing is, it's all about money. It really is, and we're going to pay for it, which we've been doing for our whole lives. We work our asses off in this country, and we pay our taxes, and they do not represent us. Not how we feel, not who we are. And it's not any different in Russia or China or any of these other countries. It's the same thing. We're all in the same boat. And people need to wake up and say, enough is enough. You're not doing it.
Tom, you know how they prevent all organizations? So everybody is fighting over what is going on. The more people that believe in these different subsets of beliefs, instead of all just getting on the same page and going, "Hey, this is all this," as long as they keep flowing 10 different sources of information out, no one will ever agree. So say if I did want to get people, "Hey, let's all meet up at the corner of 4th and Pike and let's stand up against this." Guess what? We would then sit there going, "Well, wait, what do you believe? Wait, you believe something different? What are we actually going to chant? We don't even have a chant because we can't get on the same page. Wait, you don't like them? I thought those were the good guys."
Exactly.
It keeps us separated. That's why they have put people in to get people to, talk badly about others and all of this. That's why we make it a rule. If don't talk badly about anybody else. Period. Because we're not going to tell you
That's why
to stop listening to people. It's exactly why we do it. Think about it. Anybody who is telling you not to listen to somebody else, it should be your decision and your decision only who you are listening to. You're an adult. That's like the government coming in and saying, "Hey, I don't want you to listen to that guy. Don't listen to that guy." If somebody's telling you not to listen to somebody else, I would then go listen to that.
You better start listening.
Yeah.
You better start listening.
Voltaire.
Because there's a problem.
Yep, exactly.
What
do you not want me to hear?
There's a huge problem. Well, yeah, exactly. What don't you want me to hear? Because you're not telling me the truth. Our media does not do that. I hope I can say that without getting you in trouble. But
no, that's fine.
They lie, and people believe this. I have a father. I love my father dearly. I do. But he has She listens to this crap. You know, I woke up about 3-4 years ago, you know, and I won't go on. I took the pill. I not literally, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. And it woke me up, and I'm like, what? That's not true. Are you kidding me? And then I realized I started researching it, and I'm going, are you kidding me? This is true. This has been going on this long, and I'm just aware of it. It's scary. It is scary because I used to be one of those people that watched the news. And I'm not saying don't watch the news, because you need to watch the news, but you need to get your information somewhere other than just the news. That's why it's so important what you and Dex are doing, and other channels that are giving out the real information. And I'm not talking about fake information, because there's a lot of that out there too. But you have to use your common sense, and you have to go, wow, holy shit, this is, I can believe this, because what they're saying and what's happening is two different things. People need to wake up and figure that out. Until they do, we're doomed. We're doomed. I'm sorry, but it's a scary situation.
Well, Tom, I agree with you, and it's the whole big difference of what's going on right now, and nobody is on the same page. So, well, Tom, we're out of time. I appreciate you, and it's your first time call. Don't make it your last, okay?
Hey, I appreciate you giving me the time to speak my mind, bud. I appreciate you guys totally. I really do. And the fact that you guys are respectful to everyone. You know, I hope I don't sound like a crazy person, but I hope that anybody that hears that, what I've been saying is that it resonates, and they understand how desperate this situation is. Because I think it really could blow up and hurt, you know, humanity. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and have a great night, Tom. God bless you, and you have a wonderful night.
God bless you too.
All right.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dex.
Bye-bye. Just a note to anybody that doesn't know, we never say next or anything like that, or anybody that says, like, you know, oh, next call or anything like that. But I know that there's a lot of new people in here. We don't do that. So that will get muted most of the time, but if it does get missed, just remember, like, that's not okay. If you called in, out of 5,000 people, here's the best way I can put it. So you may not have the patience for somebody, because there's never going to be an entire group of 5,000 people. So if you're just in front of 10 people, one of them is not going to like you. In fact, it's probably more like 3 or 4 people are not going to like you if you had to speak in front of 10. If you have to speak in front of 5,000 people, there are guaranteed going to be people that not like you. So I just want to think, if you called in, no matter how cool you think you are, you're the most popular guy in school and you're a social chameleon and you get along with everybody, there's going to be people that don't like you. So when you called in, how do you think people are going to react? Would you like to rewatch your show back and see people going, next, this guy sucks? No, it's old. Bullying and all this. We're not in 5th grade here. You're not saying you're chubby, you suck. It's like, come on. If start reflecting on yourself and say, hey, I can't sit there for 7 minutes straight without having a fit. You should be able to watch 7 minutes of somebody who you don't want to listen to. You should have patience and be able to listen, but nobody has patience anymore. People want it to go like this. People get pissed off if we go more than 1 minute and 30 seconds without getting into the news. It's like, time is money. Time is also something that doesn't go backwards. You know, I get that. So don't waste it, right? Well, don't waste it on something you don't want to. If you like the show, like the show. If you don't like the show, don't like it. It's volunteer. Nobody's holding your eyelids open and sticking my face in yours. As far as calls, we are always polite. And if you're new here, again, say if there are somebody mentioned a troll, there's 5,000 people here. There's always going to be a couple people. Let's just stop calling them trolls. Let's just call them new people that just don't know better. They're also trained by the system to pick on people and hate people. And maybe they're kicking the cat. They are having a horrible day. They just been treated crappily by their girlfriend or husband or whoever. They might have just been, somebody just passed away in their family, and they come in here. There's other people. They're just pissed off and mad, so they want to take it off on other people. Think if you can get past that, how many people you are friends with now that you hated at first, or you didn't like them because they just bugged you, but now you've known them for years. That's how I want you all to think about trolls. How about let's stop calling them trolls? How about when they do, this is one thing I do. Somebody makes a shitty comment, or they even make a bad comment that really does hit me. I reply with a funny comment. And even when it's harder to do it, like the ones that actually hurt me, even better, I try to come up with an even funnier response. You can go through my responses on comments. If they're saying something like, oh, you just read mainstream news. That's all you do. I do it good, but I'll also say yes. And, or somebody said that I stutter. So I stuttered, I literally spent 30 minutes stuttering a response to him. So he just sat and read like a whole page of me stuttering. So again, when they come in, treat them well. If everybody gangs up on a troll, are they ever going to come back? No. They're going to feel like that screen name that that's their main screen name. They're not going to go create another one and come back. They're just going to leave, or they're going to turn into a real actual troll. So when they come in, tell them how the rules are. And then if the regular viewers help with this, it's way better. So if everybody is on the same page and people come in and be like, hey, just be fun, have fun in here. People will slowly realize. It's like if you walk into a big crowd and there's somebody doing something stupid and the guy walks in, he's like, oh, that guy's stupid. And everybody else is like, wait, why is he stupid? That person then looks like the total, jackass. Within 1 second, that guy will fall in line and go, oh, no, I think he's cool too. I do. Because everybody else is on the same page. So just remember that this digital world is going to soon turn into a real world as far as the Foogle fam. When everything hits the fan, these are the people that are going to have your back. So just remember that. Then we have, as Russia pounds Ukraine, NATO countries rush in javelins and stingers. Dex, this is kind of, so do you want to go over this real quick? I need to actually.
Well, yeah, this is kind of, and real quick, we got about 20 left. But this is interesting because if NATO is pushing all this stuff in, does Russia consider that, outside help? Do they consider that outside interference? In which case they said they would respond, right? They said if anybody does anything to prevent what we're doing, then we'll treat that as, an act of conflict, and we'll take repercussions against those countries. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, if we were going to support them, or if somebody was going to support them, they should have probably given them a lot of this stuff before, not after. Kind of crazy to think, oh, now that you're, in the midst of this, you need more. It probably would have been better to stock it up in advance. But nonetheless, if this is really flowing in, then we have to look at what are the bigger repercussions of this. Sure, it may help one side of the conflict defend themselves, but does it also change the rules of the conflict, at least between Russia and NATO? And I think that's probably the bigger concern right now.
Well, as far as them rushing in all this equipment, I think a lot of people have thought it was weird that where these things have gone in, where they say they are invading, and where the actual military forces are. I guess from somebody any of us that haven't been there and don't know how the country works, like here in the U.S., if they said that they were invading in Florida and in Rhode Island and here, I would just know. I mean, I know the country well, the map of it. But when they're talking about, they're this far from Kiev and this far from Kiev and this far from Kiev, and they keep saying this, but then they show like a little line of outside. I'm like, where are these guys really? Like, why do we not know where exactly, they are? And why is it taking so long? And why is there so much just different information coming out about this? At first, people didn't even believe that they were invading because Russia was saying, we're not invading. We're going in as peacekeepers to do a special operation. Now they're admitting they are going to take all of Ukraine, but is that because they first really did want to go in as peacekeeping? We don't know, because there's misinformation. There's videos of Russians saying, I thought they told us to come in as peacekeepers, and they're crying and all this. I don't think that's how Russian soldiers act when they become prisoner of war, right, Dex?
Yeah, and I totally agree. And then the other interesting thing with this, we didn't just send this equipment in. Mark Milley went and made a stop at the location. So it was sort of like he's delivering it himself. So what does that say? When I talk about what are the repercussions of this and whether or not this is an act against Russia and Russia's going to see it as an aggressive act from NATO, it's also sealed up with a bow by having Milley himself get out of a plane at the location, sort of the same place they're delivering it all, right? So that's kind of that's definitely symbolic, at least, to say the least.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden Milley brought it to Mariupol or something, and then all of a sudden Russia within 25 minutes has that place under wraps and all of the gear is there and they're starting to pack it up and take it back to Russia. And Milley was calling him beforehand, hey, by the way, I'm going to drop off a bunch of javelins and stingers for you. Our newest tech. Yeah, I gave China heads up too. We were going to nuke them on Tuesday, but we're not anymore because I called them. Oh, and Putin, can I come to your poker game finally, please? Just invite me to one Tuesday poker game, please. Come on. Come on. All right. Well, maybe next Tuesday. Because Milley's a traitor. Steel bunkers, iodine pills, and canned food. Fear of nuclear apocalypse is back. So many of the older folks here probably already, remember this. My aunt's age in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they remembered in school. You did drills all the time for this. You jumped under your desk as if it was actually going to protect you. It's never going to protect you. If a nuke hit and you were under your desk, that's where you died. Like, it doesn't matter if you're on top of your desk, under your desk, whatever. It was basically like, hey, let's get under and pretend we're safe, right? It was like playing pretend. But people also got desensitized to it. That feeling is now back. Is it that? Is it just a feeling? Is it just what happened during the before the cold conflict and with all of this stuff that happened? Is it that, or are we actually going to have the first time in decades the use of a nuclear weapon? Where is it going to hit? Is it going to be in the United States? Are we going to get involved? Are they going to take all of Europe back? If you look at the map of the old USSR, a lot of people do not know their geography. I have to physically look at a map to know this. I don't have this memorized. In fact, my autistic nephew actually has every city, every capital, every country memorized in his head. He taught me more last night than I ever knew about all of these countries. Genius kid. But most of us don't. So let me show you a map of this. So let's see here. Let's go to DuckDuckGo. It's easy to go to Google, but if I can, I go to DuckDuckGo. Let's see here. USSR map. Many people don't know how many countries were in this. So USSR was much, much bigger than today's map. Let's see here. Let's see. Just to give you an example of how much they actually had. And this is what people are saying that they are going to have again. So I wonder if there's a verse map like compared. Okay, so this is Russia, Kazakhstan. This is Russia. That's not modern day. This contains Kazakhstan. It contains Turkmenistan. It takes Uzbekistan. It has Kyrgyzstan. It has Ukraine. It has Belarus. It has I wonder what other I know all of this, everything over here, all of this was part of the USSR.
And there was also Eastern Bloc countries, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and Albania, and that were and Poland, that were regarded as satellite states as part of the Soviet sphere, but weren't actually the Union, but they were still under control.
So Dex, do you think, so at least the messaging coming out now from the world, is it not true that their countries are setting us up for this message that Russia is going to take over Europe and that this is an actual takeover of Europe?
Well, I mean, look, that's one of the that's the Western narrative. The Eastern narrative is no, right? So you've got a conflict on those two narratives and two talking points. It's it's a struggle.
But why did it, just on one of these networks that the guy says, even just a few days ago, nobody would say that he was going to take Ukraine. Now we have changed it, and now they're going to take Ukraine and now all of Europe. So whether you think they're going to do it or not, if they're telling us that is what is going into mainstream, and then that is what is going to be written down as history. Because remember, the real
that's what's raising the fear level with everybody too. Right?
Yep. And it's scaring the crap out of people. So just remember, it's not what they are saying on the news. It is what is physically happening. So look at the physical events that you can actually confirm. Prepare for physical events they say may happen, because they may happen. Mainstream and all of these different outlets, some of the information is true, most of it is not. So you have to take the worst case scenario. There's a safe way to do this. Prepare for worst case and hope for best case. Hope that they're lying, prepare as if they're not. It's that simple. It's not going to hurt you to prepare for worst case scenario. In fact, the next storm that hits or the next deep freeze that you have, say like where Texas, where everybody was stuck and frozen and everything else. In fact, Fugel family member saved my brother-in-law. He was in a hotel. Never think that you would be kicked out of a hotel. They didn't have running water, power, anything. So they were forced to kick people out. Otherwise, they would be held responsible. He was stuck out in the middle of nowhere. No Uber, no buses, no nothing. Frozen tundra. One of the Fugel family members drove in an all-wheel drive an hour and a half and picked him up and had him stay with them for 2 days. That's the kind of people that we should have in our audience, not next, please. As far as what's going on with this is not good. Dex?
Yeah, I was just say this to sum this up. I mean, like most people on here are prepping and they know that. And this article is saying everybody's doing it now. So if you need to get your stuff, if you need to get your supplies, if you need to get food and things like that, you're not alone. There's a lot of people doing it. And a lot of people are putting in bunkers. A lot of people are going, are preparing in a big way. So,
and we will in the future. I'm going to try to talk to Atlas. We need to get Hoosier on because we're running out of time here. But people like Atlas, their companies have grown and quadrupled and quintupled. He is selling more bunkers, and he is working with one of the top 5 billionaires of the world right now. So they are preparing for something. All right, Dex, let's get Who's Your Hillbilly on before we can't. And remember, if the show goes over 2 hours, if the show starts cutting out for any reason, make sure to go over to Marfoogle Jams. You can follow the show on YouTube, or you can go over to DLive and actually follow it for the rest of the way. It never stops on DLive, but it does switch over to Marfoogle Jams, our third channel, at the very end of 2 hours. If it doesn't, it doesn't process right. All right, Dex.
Who's yours live?
Who's Your Hillbilly? What is going on? How are you doing? And what's happening?
Hey, Marv. Man, I tell you what, man, it's been about 2 months since I talked to you last time.
Hey, well, it's nice to see you again. And then a lot of people that might not know you, you are former military, and you have
yes,
something to say today.
10 years in the military.
All right, perfect.
Old school. But here's the thing, man. We are the people. I mean, that's the first word in the Constitution. We the people. And you know what? We are the people, and we are the people of the world. It's not just in the United States. It's all over the world. We all want peace. And, you know, we got muckety ducks in charge of muckety ducks. But you know what? The people are starting to speak up. You know, the First Amendment. And that's all over the world. And people are saying, you know what? We don't want this. Even in the country where they're wanting to take over this other country where we're having problems with right now. You know, and they're protesting. And then we got, you know, something that happened to an energy system that was scaring everybody. And then I seen where there was a text where they said, well, we got it under control. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. And you can only believe so many people. All right. But you got to believe in yourself. You don't have to believe in everybody else, but you believe in yourself. You know, and it's like, hey, you know, I'm a veteran. If, you know, the TF, hey, I'm a veteran. There's a lot of veterans all over the world, not only in the United States, but all over the world. And those people are going to help people get through this mentally and physically. You know, mentally, like, hey, we're going to help you get through this, and physically, if they get hurt or something, man, we're going to take care of them first aid. You know, we've got veterans that are engineers to where they can do water purification and stuff like that. You know, and teach them how to. I mean, you know, if you're in the city, that might be a problem. You know, but whenever you're out, it's like, hey, I'll show you how to shoot a gun. I'll show you how, you know, when's the right time to kill something, to put food on your table, and I'll show you how to plant a garden. You know, it ain't the worst case scenario here. You know, I mean, sure, we hear a lot of bad news. But the good news is you got a lot of veterans in this country. I don't know about the other countries. But you got a lot of veterans in this country, your next door neighbors, that will stand up and help you through the battle.
There's going to be a lot of trained individuals. That's one thing I was thinking of, Hoosier, is say everything hits the fan, even if there is no official military, we will have tons and tons of vets out there, and I bet you pretty quickly they would find each other, and they would organize, and they would start getting stuff done.
Yes, well, a lot of vets, we're a brotherhood, man. We know where our brothers are.
Yeah.
And we're thinking ahead. We're like, okay, now, well, if everything goes down, it's like, okay, how many police officers we got living in our community? How many EMTs or doctors or nurses live in our community? How many teachers live in our community? And you take all that, everybody, and you cross-train. Being a veteran, being an instructor in the military, I'm like, okay, well, now you're going to train everybody how to do your job. And if you ain't got a garden, you ain't got chickens, you ain't got sheep, you ain't got goats, you ain't got cows, you ain't got hogs, we're going to feed you. That's how you contribute. Do you see what I'm saying? If it comes down to depression, which it might well be, it's like, don't be scared. You've got knowledge of the things you can do. It's like, hey, the kids, they ain't got cell phones no more. They're going to go crazy. It's like, well, put them out in the garden and put them to work.
Unplug them.
Just like my great grandpa done. During the Depression and stuff, it's like, hey, you put them kids to work. They ain't thinking about anything else. You know what I'm saying? And then you educate them. There's plenty of teachers in all communities. It don't matter if you live in the city or you live in the woods. There's somebody knows how to do that.
I agree.
And how blessed we are living in the United States of America, where people will stand up and help their neighbor. Now, I remember whenever I was a kid, you never had to lock a door in the house. You never had to lock up your car. But now, things are different. Well, guess what? It's going to get back to that time again, to where you don't have to lock your doors. Because if somebody gets out of line, there ain't that cop, it's the neighbors. It's like, hey, old Joe Blow is over here and he stole a couple chickens from me. Oh, yeah? You know what I'm saying?
By the way,
it's going to go back to where everybody respects everybody, everybody helps everybody, and that's the way it's going on in the world today. You see what's going on over there in
Hoosier? I don't want to interrupt you. Again, part of what I was talking about earlier is I also respect my elders, so I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did get the light flash, which means we are at the 2-hour mark. Dex, do we have time, or is it already over?
Yeah, we got about 1 minute left, Adam.
Okay. I mean, that's the way everybody is in the world, Mark.
Oh no, I understand.
They don't want this, and they want to help each other, and they're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of the muckety ducks. Because we didn't ask for none of it. They're bringing this stuff down. And it's like, you know what? We're getting tired of it. And it's like, you know what? We're going to do just fine. I don't know what's going to happen to the muckety ducks. Just like
muckety ducks. Love that. Our show is going to end, though, over here on YouTube. So I do want to let everybody know, make sure you can pop over to D Live as well, at Marfoogle.
Okay, but anyway, I was just wanting to add some positive in there. I mean, it's all not. I mean, you know, all this stuff going down. Hey, it's like, you know what? You got brothers and sisters around you that's going to help you through these things, and it's a big crap sandwich, and everybody's going to have to take a bite.
Well, perfect. Hey, that's the perfect way to end the call. Hoosier, don't be a stranger. It's not your first. Again, don't make it your last, okay? Don't be a stranger.
All right. Well, hey, Marv, hey, I love talking to you, and I'm glad I got to talk to you again, you and Dex and Marfoogle family. I love all you guys, and I've been prepping, and I'm trying to get everybody else prepped, but they think I'm crazy, you know? And I'm like, well,